anime we're going to be talking about is City the Animation. And forgive me, I'm not recording this on my normal day, and it has been a few days since I've watched City. City the Animation has a lot of stories, so I'm going to try to go through them as best as I can if I can remember. But I figured out probably some of the best way that I could probably talk about City the Animation while being efficient is just giving my short little blurb on the little stories. So forgive me if, well, to be fair, a lot of these are going to be short because I'm just trying to knock this out. But you know, we'll talk about it. we'll go ahead and we'll talk about it. First little story they told is about the dad trying to give the customer fried rice. I think it's funny the length that the man go to make fried rice that was completely just average fried rice. So that was a funny bit, just seeing him go and like beg for rice, get like a special egg from a chicken that shoots eggs, and like cooking in the side of like near an ocean, near off a cliff. It's just like, yeah, I need the perfect texture and blah blah blah. It's just like, it is very average. So that was funny. That story actually adds on to like the little bit as well where the dad's so sad and his kids are trying to cheer him up, and so him and like the main like girl tomboy that we have, they're trying to cheer him up, and he just like, you know what, fuck it, we're making Western food. And so he has like his motivation again, but he's still sad. Like he goes to day being like, oh, I'm glad I changed, blah blah blah, and then he goes completely sad. He's like, my life is ruined. Oh, so dumb. Then, if I'm not recall, the next two little stories are about like our three main girls that we follow. One where they're all sleeping over, and I can't tell if like they just live together now, or if it's just one of those like, they're just over, and you know they sleep in the cabinet because they hang out for so long. But it confused me a little bit. But like our like main girl is like mad, and the other two are pestering her, talking about mad, and it's just the whole story of blaming each other on why they're mad on each other. It was like, okay, yeah, typical friend stuff. Then that same girl, our main girl, I really need to remember the names of these girls. Our main girl has a little bit of a late night snack, and so she goes and she, in full, very detailed type of stuff, talks about how she eats a ramen packet, and where she like bites the ramen first before, like, okay, eating ramen packets, that's fun, right? I've seen people eat it dry, like it's not out of the blue. It's fairly common from what, at least in the area that I live in. So I live in California. I'm okay with saying that, but like yeah, it's like fairly okay, right? Like it's right. I know a lot of people who've done that in the past, and like even now I know people who still do that. But like the amount of detail and particular ways that she goes is insane, where she eats the ramen packet first, and then she like, you know, savors the crunch and of the oil in it, and then opens the packet, and then like takes her tongue, and in her words, she takes her you know what and puts it in the you know who, and then she does the you know what to the you know who, and I was like, okay, you can just say ramen packet, I get it. It does look very sensual though, I will say that. And then she just goes back and forth from like licking it and eating it and licking it and eating it, and I think eventually she does just put it in there and then devour the rest of the thing, but then she just ends up having to leave and eat ramen, and that's just it. So it's just like, you know, you could have just ate ramen, but okay, whatever. Then the one that I thought was the funniest in this episode was they introduced a barber who, you know, he's a barber, so he gets paid to do haircuts, but there are some people who don't pay in money but in goods. But that's because he doesn't charge for shortcuts, which is basically like, you know, just cutting your hair short, no styling or anything like that. Just like a nice little good trim, and that's it, right? He doesn't charge for those, which I think it's cool. I don't think, man, I would love if a show were to practice that type of shit. But regardless, he talks about how like he has a very small, like he does have a decent clientele, but there's only a small part of his clientele that actually does go in for the shortcuts. And like he lists them all, and everyone gives like different things. Like there's a girl who brings trinkets that is like, sometimes they're whatever, but they're collector's items. So she's like, oh, they're like, oh, that's cool. There's a dude who like, there's like the manga dude who makes Mr. Bummer, and the editor who posts Mr. Bummer, and the Mr. Bummer manga is like, your manga shit, this doesn't sell for anything. But then the editor's manga actually sells for like a lot of money, and he's like, whoa, who is this guy that like is giving me this expensive manga to sell? And then obviously it's the dad of the girl, which I forget that same girl is that girl. So I keep forgetting this. The father who runs the who's the chef who runs the food stand or the food shop or whatever the shop or whatever food he sells. I forget that his daughter. We're following her. I keep forgetting her. Who? God, I can't talk. His daughter. We're following her story through like the thing that's happening with the girl leaving for the UK. And like I totally forget that was his daughter. I also forget that the captain who's part of the soccer team, that's his son. I do forget that, and I'm just like, oh, these people aren't like extremely removed from each other. I actually do forget that this person is actually very entrenched within the story. I just completely forgot about that. But yeah, City the Animation, I think I've gotten to a point where it's very much at a okay pace for me. It's not something that's like blowing my mind or something that is being like super amazing, but it's something that I'm like, okay, I'm having fun with it. I understand what it is. Will I rate it highly? Probably not, but it's a fun show regardless, and I'm just enjoying my time with it.